Oh hi, this is a new one. Today we are going to talk about Survivor's main stereotype. Every Survivor has very different playstyle, and now that the character roster has increased from 10 to 12, I guess we will be fine to make this kind of video. And this idea was definitely not stolen from Soundsmith. Before we start, let me do a quick disclaimer. Stereotype doesn't apply to everyone. There are reasons for it to exist, but there are also exceptions. Are we good? Okay, let's start the video. Commando mains are mostly Americans. They like to talk about the fact that holding M1 is the best gameplay ever because nothing beats dual wield pistols. They also can and will steal all the items from you with the logic of Commando just works with every items. On the flip side, you have to at least appreciate that after all of the interesting playstyle that literally every survivors can provide, they still decided to choose the vanilla ice cream flavor of the survivors. Now, there are two types of Commando main. We have the freaking is so bad so I use suppressive fire, that they think that having a faster M1 that stuns is such a powerful ability, which is not. And then there's a chart among the Commando mains, the frag grenade gang. This guy realized that how much destruction can low cooldown grenade that has a proc coefficient of 1 does. They master the physics of a grenade just to be sure that the grenade can hit precisely even the flying enemies. Until the latest update literally changed the grenade physics and nerfed the damage. Hoopu? What the f? Those two types of players never really get along with each other, but they all do agree on one thing. Face rounds still suck. Now at first glance, you may think that someone main Huntress was because of the description said that she is a glass cannon, but in reality, they just got so used to her Huntress mobility that they can't go back to any other characters that have less than 3 dashes. In every game, their first priority is usually finding the new altar. The moment they enter Bazaar, they will run as fast as possible just to get any shaped glass before any others do. Because remember, Huntress is not a glass cannon without shaped glass. Usually, 3 to 4 shaped glass is the right amount of shaped glass. You can often see them dying immediately after leaving Bazaar because they have like 10 health, and then always complain about how weak Huntress is even though it was clearly their fault for taking glass of losing run. They will never learn though. As the run goes on, they will take more and more glass to the point that even 4 damage can delete their only 1 HP, and nobody can ever save them from that point. Half of the Bandit main came from restoring 1 for purely nostalgic reason. I mean, you can't blame them. Bandit just feels so good to play in the first game. And then there's another half probably fell in love with the assassin playstyle that the new Bandit provide. Lights out is fine for most of the time. The sound effect and the animation of Bandit taking out his revolver felt so satisfying. But then, Hoopu introduced another special ability that literally made every Bandit player's brain to release dopamine. Yes, I'm talking about Desperado. Ever have a feeling of working so hard for something just to have it to leave you? Now you can experience it with Desperado that you may be questioning Hoopu's decision for not making those tokens stack permanently. People who pick this skill are most likely going to install the persistent Desperado mod and then change a roguelike game into an MMORPG. They also show overly obsession with purity. If you want to piss them off, just refresh the Luna shop if you saw any purity on it. I'm pretty sure you will enjoy watching them screaming in pain. Purity
Coming! 开窗。要解释一下你跟雨欣的头哦，
是我跟他的同一之间。
还有个小薇的是吧？是不是
Oh boy. MUL-T, huh? Handy, but he wields 2 gun. Right boys? Comedy. Jokes aside, MUL-T main sure have a lot of varieties. Let's went over them one by one. These guys like consistency. Always have a mid-close range proc machine while having a sniping tool that can proc both bands is just so reliable. This skill combination provides everything MUL-T needs for every situation. These guys love to brag about how their choice is superior because all you need to do is to hold the Retool button and you can have the highest damage possible. Yes, we get it, double Rebar is good, shut the These guys are sick of everyone talking about how good Nailgun and Rebar combo is, so they want to be different. After using it for a while, they kinda took a liking to Scrap Launcher because it can deal AoE damage and has decent range. On the other hand, Saw is literally the king of melee. Not even Loader can compare to this. Double Rebar guy, but they think that Rebar is lame and it took no skill. Please don't do this. This is kinda the meta of Pyro mod. Ever since this was announced, the first thing people do was to pair it with double Nailgun. These guys love that they can proc twice as more and slowly become a god with their built-in 100 armor that will never die. This guy thought that this will work but eventually found out that this idea sucks and switched back to Retool double Rebar. People who use Scrap Launcher in Power Mode like to be able to shoot stuff from far away even though their 100 armor exists. Unlike Double Rebar, Scrap Launcher actually works really well here. This is literally every MUL-T's main dream, being able to wield 2 swords and obliterate everything except flying enemies. They will continue to complain about the existence of lesser whips until they got a ukulele or a hoopoe feather, and then the planet will fall due to their choice to saw through everything. Most of the engineer men want to play this game, but they don't actually want to play the game. So they main engineer because the turrets can do the job for them. There are 2 types of turrets that also meant to have 2 types of engineer player. The first one we are going to call them the Bungers man. Bungers? Nah, who cares? As the name suggests, those guys are addicted to the existence of blasting flungers, and you just have to assume that they are insane. You may think that it was their job to heal you because their turrets are basically a healing station. You are very wrong. It was their empathy to even allow you to assist in their game, let alone healing you. The second type of engineer, we are going to name them players that actually enjoy the game. Those types of NG prefer a more active playstyle with rocking turrets and reject bungers. Not that they don't like bungers, it's just that they want to stay sane for the rest of the gameplay unlike their counterpart. Sometimes you will see them complaining why their walking turrets can't sprint or why isn't their shooting range bigger. But it was no big deal. Those 2 types of NGs actually respect each other's choice despite being extremely different in playstyle. I think that was because engineer actually is pretty balanced in every aspect. I'm kinda felt bad for artist mains because almost everyone looks down on them. Pretty sure the whole Artificer is the worst survivor rumor came from a bunch of streamers. And people who believe this didn't even try to learn Artificer. Anyone who mains Artificer usually try to defend their main in public only to get bullied by the others, and then learn that it was better for them to shut up and quietly enjoy their main. Of course, there are some tryhard Artificer mains out there try to explain why skill rotation is extremely important and why Alien Head and Purity are bad, which none of them really makes sense to be honest. People misunderstood that Plasma Bolt and Iron Surge sucks because Wooly said so. Plasma Bolt provides a constant way of clearing crowds, especially if you are using Nanospear. I can still see someone who takes Nanospear complain about crowds because they refuse to believe that Plasma Bolt is good. As for Iron Surge, you trade damage for mobility, which is a pretty good alternative for a survivor who is obviously not a tank. This is also the only way to judge that whether the Artificer's main is more into passive or aggressive playstyle. You may argue that hovering in the air is a lot more vulnerable, but you kinda forgot that releasing the hover button to make you drop faster was also a type of mobility. Despite all of that, the majority of the community still think that Artificer is the worst character, and then someone made Artificer Extended. Not gonna lie, Artificer Extended is actually pretty good, but I don't think people should treat it like the mod fix Artificer's problem. You guys are just bad at her. Stop complaining. Pretty sure anyone who main Mercenary is an edgy whip, and for a good reason. Who doesn't like to play as a guy who uses a katana as a weapon? Mercenary in the first game is just kinda bad. You will be better off playing Miner if you want iframe. But since Miner didn't exist in the second game, and Mercenary kinda just got better in 3D, Hooray for the Mercenary man who persists of maining him since the first game. Everyone seems to respect Mercenary man because he has the highest skill ceiling out of any survivors. Slicing Wind Mercenary often disrespect Eviscerate Mercenary just because they have lower DPS. But Eviscerate Mercenary often prove them wrong by stacking a lot of purity. Like, a lot of them. And they basically can't even die from that point. They also seems to be a real tryhard in this game. When you are playing with those guys, you will often receive some sort of orders from them like, monsters are for babies, we are playing Typhoon. I will open the further at 2:30. They kinda forgot that this is a PvE call game. People will only think that you are a dick if you did that too extreme. Also get ready for them spamming random anime music in their voice chat. It sucks to have them as your friend.
Couldn't help but notice your both from across the floor. Noses and Mickey like you told Buddy to
Rexmans are weird and mysterious. There's like only 5 or 6 of them exist, and nobody knows where they came from and why they mean Rex. But they do have some interesting facts. First of all, Rexman likes to Just like Artificer main, Loader main is often being picked on by the others, but for a different reason. The main argument that I mostly hear is that being a Loader main makes you a bad player because she is too good and takes no skill. And anyone who mains her will be labelled as brainless. Damn, people just hate fun shit, don't they? I can see where this is coming from, because you literally don't need a brain to play her. And most Loader men do know that. With a kid that is super strong in the early game and has really good mobility, even if you didn't fight any elemental band, you are still really strong within 2 loops. Plus, you can literally get 2 bands at stage 2 if you went to Bazaar, and get effigy of griefs with the power of edited infinite Luna coins. This usually made Loader men not associate with the word challenging. 99% of the time playing Loader, you are guaranteed to win Matrix or pass 1 loop. Now, there is still some deeper mechanic, like trimping or how to maintain your speed while flying with Gauntlet. But those are kinda like TF2 soldier, most basic rocket jump level of difficulty. And I guess everyone will still bully Loader's main for the sake of bullying. Weirdly enough, after all those shit that we have seen earlier, whether it's American Commando, Bungus Edit Engineer, or Homicidal with Rex, I think everyone can agree about the fact that Equid mains are base and safe to be with. I mean, they main a puppy. What more could you ask for? Equid mains would always tell you just how cute Equid is and how much they want to pet it daily. If any one of them has a dog in real life, they will be disappointed that their dog doesn't spit poison and just vomit all over the house. There's 2 types of Equid player, spitting poison Equid and melee blight Equid. Pretty sure both of them like to shit on each other. Black Gang thinks that anyone who uses poison or equip is fake equipment, boring, and cowards, just because they aren't brave enough to get into melee. Plus, Black equip early game can actually outperform poison equip, since to be honest, getting 3 stacks of poison that can actually kill is still pretty high damage. While Poison Gang believes that range equip is the only safest way to play equip, and poison is just superior to get into late game, since it was scaled based on enemies' health, not on equip's damage. That means, even if their items fall behind, Poison Gang damage won't be as miserable as Black Gang. For me, both of them are wrong. Hellfire and Razorfire is the best way to play equip. Remember the time that I talked about how Commando can steal all of your items? Imagine that, but times 3, add in some war crime, and that is basically Captain. Hubu designed 4 different beacons for Captain to make him a utility survivor, but in reality, only 2 hacking beacons exist in their loadout, and you can often see that he has more items than you because they are selfish. So don't be surprised that you are down with items. Chances are, he's the one who steals all the items on the map and won't leave anything left for you if you don't act fast. For some reason, most Captain mains didn't remember that there is a species called mini mushroom, and didn't know the concepts of projectiles. In their memory, the only ranged enemies are something like laser whips and stone golems. Ever since Double Strike was introduced into the game, there is no reason for any Captain main to use orbital probe anymore, because it hits hard, it sounds cool, and it looks funny.
いや、よく見たらクソムカつく。お前の寿命もあと30分で尽きる。
They also don't understand the need of charging some pillars before they can fight Matrix, since you know, there was a faster way to reach Matrix. And that's it. That's the end of the Resurrect to Survivor's main stereotype. I can see why Southmid hate this kind of video. I don't know. Subscribe for more, I guess. And that's all.